Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibility. Find your power, passion, and purpose. You know it's time for you to walk with greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dream. Love is right now. Inspirational perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live. Let's find your purpose now. Inspirational perspective. Let's slay your goals, let your greatness flow. With inspirational perspective.
Good morning, Chicago. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Sunday morning, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. First Sunday of 2021, 3 days into 2021. And let me tell you, man, I've been doing my work. And it feels good. It feels good. So man, how exciting was it to open up the new year with the New Year celebration show? Thank you all for the emails and the notes, your thoughts about the show. An incredibly fun time making that happen for the WVON listening audience. And man, that was a lot of fun. And I got a chance to really get to know some of the other WVON personalities, both on the mic and off the mic. And so I'm looking forward to a fantastic 2021 with them, 2021 with all of you. Once again, Happy New Year. And how blessed are we? How blessed are we to have the opportunity to explore and continue this spiritual journey into a brand new year. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I don't take it lightly after what we experienced in 2020. I don't take it lightly. But man, I feel blessed. And then, so that was Friday, first day of the year. And then yesterday, I hosted the 2021 Goal Setting Masterclass. And wow, was that a phenomenal time with many of you who joined the masterclass and you were there throughout the day. And once again, thank you all for that support. And for those of you that showed up, and really stuck with it through the end. That's what success requires. It's a 4.5-hour masterclass. And when I tell you that people stuck through, I mean, they stayed there, they asked questions, there was engagement. It was absolutely amazing. And so just once again, I'm incredibly inspired already about this brand new year and the opportunities of the year. And today, what I want to talk about is something that's been on my mind, in my spirit, and on my heart since yesterday's masterclass. And that is reprogramming your mind for success. And I want to say it another way, because it's not just about the mind, but in many ways, I see it as an opportunity to, like when a car dies, the battery dies, can't go anywhere. And so often you need someone to jump it. And if anything, I want to jumpstart your spirit this morning. Like put the cables on your spirit, and if I can just hook you up to me and jumpstart your spirit, man, that's what I want to do this morning. Partly because the spirit is the reason we exist. It's the reason we're here. And what I'm really beginning to see is so many of us are detached from the spiritual journey, detached from our purpose, detached from who it is that we are. And so as a result, we don't really understand how capable and how powerful we are. And it really stood out to me. And that's been in my spirit. So that's one of the things I want to talk about today. And then as well, I want to take your phone calls. Last week, we had live Q&A for goal setting. And that continues because the goal setting process doesn't stop. Just because the goals weren't necessarily written down midnight into the turn of January 1st doesn't mean you can't start right now in this moment. So I want to discuss that as well, you all. And so those are the things that I'd love to discuss. Give me a phone call, 773-591-1690. I tell you guys not to do me like you do me every week, but hey, we got a lot of time right now. So give me a phone call. What questions do you have about goal setting? What's on your mind in terms of this new year? And what support can I provide you as we head into 2021 with your goal setting process? With your goal setting process. That's where I am this morning. That's what I want to create. And ultimately, that's what I want to talk about. But this thing that I really want to kick off with this morning is this well, I guess the only thing to really call it is this spirit of doubt. This demon of doubt. And yesterday during the masterclass, I was present to it. And even after that, I was present to how so many of us struggle with doubt. And when you think about the goal setting process, the first place you start, the foundation of a goal, is the vision, is what you see in your mind. One of the things that I repeated multiple times yesterday was that when you think about the goal setting process, at the very foundation of the goal setting process is the ability to see in your mind what it is that you intend to create. And when you can see this in your mind, then you have a picture of where you're going. You have, in many ways, an imprint on the brain, on the mind, and in the spirit of what you will create. Some of the examples I gave are people like Elon Musk. And this man has gone from creating, in many ways, a banking application that generated millions and billions. And then he went from that and he said, well, what about electronic cars? And not just a little slow, putt-putt, but an electronic car that everybody would desire, that can go from 0 to 60 in a matter of 2 to 4 seconds. And so he had that imprint in his mind. He could see it in his mind. And how do I know he could see it in his mind? Because he created it. And here's the thing. When you think about some of the things that people have done, and I call Elon Musk out because, he, in many ways, happens to be someone that in our time, in the 21st century, has really innovated. And when you think about what he's created, many of these things, they're the first time. It's not, there's a template already. It's the first time. And that brings me back to many of us. Because when it comes to creating powerfully, when it comes to setting goals, many of the things that we want to do within our families, within our friends, our friendships, we would be the first one. Nobody else has ever done it. Nobody else has done what it is that you're trying to do. And what happens is doubt begins to creep in. And the vision that you can see so clearly begins to dissipate and evaporate to the point where maybe after a couple of hits, after a couple of punches, you just don't believe you can anymore. Many of us, we've been hit by disappointments. We've been hit by disasters and tragedy. And we've allowed those things to define us. We relive it over and over again. We obsess about it. We think about it. And then many times what happens is we begin to live our lives in avoidance of versus seeking to create what's next. And I believe a lot of that happens because of how our mind is programmed. And that's the reason I want to talk about how we program our minds and the best way to program the mind. Now, the first thing that came to my mind is first, like, we have to know how to fight doubt. And when you think about doubt, doubt is the antithesis of faith. It's in many ways the opposite of faith. And I started asking myself, well, why would someone be consumed by doubt? And the answer I came up with, I would love for anyone who's battling this to call and correct me or help me. But when I have doubts on a very personal level, when I have doubts, typically that doubt is sourced by fear, by some kind of fear, whether it's fear of upsetting the apple cart of what I've created already, whether it's fear of, failure, whether it's fear of repeating something from my past. Typically my doubt is sourced by some type of fear. And so then I continued thinking about this, and I said, well, really, in the realm of doubt and fear, there's only one thing that can begin to break that up, and that's love. Love is the only thing that can begin to break that up. So then I start to bring it to self-doubt, right? Because when I doubt myself, when I doubt my abilities, then that's self-doubt. And that's something that we all have. That's something that we all battle with. And I said, okay, so then if I battle with self-doubt, then what that's telling me is that ultimately there isn't a healthy amount of self-love. There isn't a healthy amount of self-love. So then, if we really get down to, I suppose, the main ingredients or the main reasons why people don't fiercely pursue their goals, fiercely believe that they can, it's because that at the core is a lack of self-love. Because that is the only way that self-doubt can exist. The only way that self-doubt can exist is when there is not a healthy dose of self-love evident in your life. So, again, this is, last night I had time to think after this masterclass, and I was just kind of reflecting on the day, reflecting on what I had the opportunity to teach. And when I landed on, well, the reason why people don't accomplish goals and the reason why people don't even set goals is a lack of self-love, it really disturbed me. Because I began to realize that many of us, we don't realize how little love we have for ourselves. So then again, I begin to ask myself, why? Okay, well, then why is it that I don't love myself or I don't believe in myself when it comes to accomplishing a goal. And this is where I began to realize, well, it's a matter of how my mind has been programmed. It's a matter of how my spirit has been hijacked. Now, when I say the spirit has been hijacked, the reason I say that is because when you think about the makeup of a human being, and we talked about this towards the end of 2020. When you think about the makeup of who we are as human beings, we have our physical body, and then we have our spirit. And the way I think about this, if you were taking notes and you drew two circles, I'll just draw two circles, and I want the circles to interconnect. And I wish for those of you watching on Facebook, I wish I had created the framework or the model so you could look at it. But when you think about who we are as human beings, I want to make this as simple as possible. We are part human, right? That's the physical piece. And so one circle, by the way, these circles interconnect. One circle is human, so you can put that on the left-hand side. And then the other circle is God and our relationship, our connection to the Creator, ultimately. And in that intersection is where the spirit lives. And when I say our spirit has been hijacked, what's happened is that something in our lives, a situation, a circumstance from the past, trauma, whatever it is, has come in, is separated, or in many ways disconnected, or when you think about when a plane gets hijacked, right? If someone hijacks a plane, what happens is that the people who get on the plane, they say, well, let's say the plane is bound for Miami. And it's leaving Chicago and it's bound for Miami. And when the plane gets hijacked, often what they do is they change the destination. They say, well, maybe they have a gun or a knife or whatever it is, and they're in the cockpit and they say, well, let the passengers know that I am now in control of the plane, right? And the pilot gets on and fear creeps into the space for the passengers on board, because now they're not headed towards the destination. Like they've been disconnected from the plan. And I really want you to follow me here, because there's a plan for each of our lives. And so they've been disconnected from the plan. And the hijacker will then say, we are going to Cuba. All right. I don't know why I chose Cuba, but we're going to Cuba. So now the destination has changed. And the destination has changed, but I want you to think about something. How many people are so committed to where they were going that they would say, nope, I got to do something right now? Like most people get frozen by fear and accept what's happening. And I believe what's happened for many of us in our lives, we've been spiritually hijacked. The destination has been changed. The things you were supposed to create, the lives you were supposed to touch, the goals you were supposed to set, you're not setting them. You're not touching those lives. You're not going where you're supposed to go because you've been spiritually hijacked. And you're spiritually hijacked, headed to the wrong location, headed to a place where that has nothing to do with your overall destiny. And as a result, there's fear in your life. And because you're off route, there's doubt. And by the way, in order to change the route, in order to take back over, it requires courage. It requires courage. It requires the ability to declare things in your life, right? Because that's how we spiritually create. Declare new things and completely shift the direction. But here's the thing. At the core, there has to be a healthy dose of self-love. There has to be a healthy dose of self-love. And if there's not a healthy dose of self-love, the destination can be forever changed. And many people are living a life that Their destination is changed. They're off course. They're not aligned with their purpose. And if they don't make a dramatic shift, they'll live, and they'll live maybe for a long time. The next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, and never reach their true potential. And that thing disturbs me. It really disturbs me. Because it's a trick, man. It's a trick. Because we don't realize how powerful we really are. We don't realize how connected we are simply because we breathe, simply because we have life. That means that the spirit is alive and well, and all we have to do is tap in to create what we want next. And when I think about 2020, there was a spiritual awakening. But the big question I have is, have you really tapped in? Have you really tapped in? And are you creating from that place? Are you making decisions from that place of purpose? From that place of knowing exactly where you're supposed to be going on this spiritual journey based on the connection that you have to the Creator, based on the word that you receive from the Creator, because then your life's vision, that becomes the source. And that's how we create powerfully. And what hurts me more than anything is that there are people out here who understand this. They understand their spiritual power, and they're creating powerfully, while many of us, we remain wounded and doubtful about our own potential and power. And this morning, more than anything, I really want us to get present to the wound of self-doubt. To the wound of self-doubt. And this even became more apparent for me as I was thinking about the 4 reasons that many of us don't set goals. And I shared a little Instagram reel and a video on Facebook last night talking about it. But the first 2 reasons, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but the first 2 reasons that many of us avoid setting goals is fear and negative self-talk. But then I began to think about that too, and I said, well, yeah, there are a lot of people who can get past the goal setting part, but in a couple of weeks, they'll be done. They would have made themselves feel good as the new year came in, and they, scribble a few things down on paper, and they say to themselves, okay, that's what I'm going to do in 2021. But what the data says is, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be done. You'll be back to living your life by default without the deep level of intention that you brought the new year in with. Why? And why is that? Why is that? And then I thought, well, the same reasons people don't set goals are the same reason that people abandon goals. Number 1, fear and negative self-talk. Number 2, a lack of confidence and self-esteem. We're going to get into that one. A lack of confidence and self-esteem. Because, by the way, confidence is a competence. It's something you can learn. It's something that you can actually develop. And I believe many of us, our confidence was stolen at one point. And now we're operating in many ways spiritually handicapped. Because how the spirit flows, out of the spirit flows confidence. Like when I'm spiritually connected, when I know I'm a child of God, when I know that, I'm fully connected to the Creator, and as a result, I can create, that gives me a different level of self-esteem and self-love. Because if I say that I love the Creator, then how can I not pour that same love on myself when I have a piece of the Creator in me? Like, why is that? Then again, I began thinking, well, that's how we've been programmed. That's how we've been programmed. What do you mean? Well, all you got to do is turn on your television And if you're African American, if you look like me, all it takes is maybe 30 or so minutes for you to see a negative image of people that look like you. I mean, don't watch the evening news. And so many of us, we're being subconsciously programmed. You're not enough. You can't create that. Look at you. Look at people like you. Look at the problems they have. Look at their inabilities. Look at all the ways you all just seem to complete the same cycle over and over again without making progress. Who do you think you are? See, it's that negative self-talk. And we talk ourselves right out of creating the things that can end the cycle. We're being programmed. We're being programmed. And so how do we begin to reprogram ourselves? That's what I'm going to talk about at the top of the next hour. But I want to get, so the other two reasons, I'm sorry. So fear and negative self-talk, number one. Number two, lack of confidence and self-esteem. Number three, a belief that goals don't matter. But then I began to think about that. And I'm like, well, why would a person really believe that goals don't matter? I said, well, it's no different than superstition. I mean, some of us believe that the number 13 can come and get us. Oh, I'm not going to sit on the 13th row of the plane. Can't do that. Oh, I'm not going to live on the 13th floor. Can't do that. And we have these superstitions, right? I mean, Stevie Wonder talked about them. You know, don't break the mirror. You get 7 years of bad luck. Where did this stuff come from? Well, here's the thing. If we're creators and collectively we believe this foolishness, then collectively we create this foolishness. And this is what I mean by being spiritually hijacked, because all of a sudden we begin to get afraid of silly physical things, and we forget how powerful the spirit is, how powerful the creator is. We forget. And I think that's one of the reasons why 2020, if we ever were to, in many ways, encapsulate and define the year, I would call it the year of fear. The year of fear. And that's why so many people don't like 2020. Don't talk about 2020. Don't bring up 2020. The first rule of 2021 is not to talk about 2020. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because if you want to get better, you got to reflect. You got to step back and ask yourself, okay, who was I back then? And how did I get hijacked? How did I get consumed by so much fear? And is that how I'm going to live in 2021? Is that how I'm going to live in 2022? Is that how I'm going to open up this brand new decade? But see, here's the thing. When you're not careful, you can get programmed to think about these things differently. To actually believe when the news anchor says, oh my, what are we going to do? I don't know, folks. Stay with me until after this commercial break. And then they cut, and there you are, filled with anxiety, filled with fear. And that's part of the plan. It's part of their revenue plan. It's part of their plan to reprogram you. It's part of their plan to make you completely dependent on what happens next, what's said next. When in essence, you should be creating what's next, not waiting for what's next. Because that's the role we play as creators. We are on this spiritual journey to create something that is aligned with our purpose, that has an indelible impact on other people. And I think we forget that. I think for many of us, it's become about the next thing, the next vacation, the next home, the next car, the next pair of shoes, the next bag. And we're not really in tune with why we're really here. And And because we're not in tune with why we're really here, then it's so easy for us to get reprogrammed. So how do you take your mind back? How do you, in many ways, I don't want to say take your spirit back because you still got it, but how do you activate your spirit? We'll talk about that too at the top of the hour. But I got some phone calls here. Honora, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
You, along with my Heavenly Father, started my morning. I woke up at about 5:28 this morning, and I attended the master class yesterday, and it was like what you have said so far this morning has been according to how I have received life, right on point. It couldn't have been. It's as if you were in my head, to the point where I started praying and thanking God, and I came to the understanding that the goal that I set is not really my goal. It is the culminating activity for a goal yet to be created, and that will be the activity I will culminate my goal with. But my culminating goal is to take my 8 grandchildren to Ghana, the next plane out. And but what you have said this morning, I mean, is so on point. The only thing when you were going over the decades, you had 10 more years to add to that because I'm 83, so
gotcha.
I am here at 83, just so excited about life because I know now you are so on point. Everything that you have said this morning describes Honora's travels through life. And I just want to thank God for you. You are so vital to this, our people especially. I'm very focused on who we are because I think God has great plans for us as a people. And it takes the awakening that you are providing to get us to that point. So thank you. I'm hugging you and your wife.
You're welcome. Yeah, virtual hugs to you too, Honora. Thank you so much, and I do appreciate you, and I appreciate your acknowledgement.
Thank you so much for being there for us.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to being with you and your grandchildren in Ghana. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Yes,
that puts a period in my sentence.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, have a blessed morning, and again, Happy New Year.
Thank you, and the same to you.
All right. All right, let's go to line 3. Mike, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Linal. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you because the idea, if I see you, that means I'm here. And if you see me, that means you're here.
Yes, sir.
I embrace, I can't even say to what degree, it's a great degree about the spirit. Because I believe in relating to a spiritual power of being greater than we are is how best I believe and say to everyone here on this planet is being able to cover your rear end.
And what do you mean by that?
There are decisions that we have to make for ourselves, for our life, for our being, our presence, and no one can make that decision for you.
That's true.
And the trust in making that decision, many people have been looking to government, the medical institution, or Dr. Fauci, and other things, and other people.
But Mike, you know why that is? You know why that is? Because we don't trust ourselves.
Right.
We don't And we've been programmed not to trust ourselves. We've been programmed to ignore our intuition. We've been programmed to ignore our spiritual notions, and we've been programmed to not to listen to God. Like, dude, this is we trust so much in human knowledge, and in many ways, because I believe it's the information age, brother. That we're so smart, we got it so figured out. That as soon as you know some quote unquote expert or somebody who has a title, and by the way, no shade on doctors, right? But as soon as somebody with a title says something, then they can generate fear or hope. And it's like, well, wait a second. Did you check in with yourself? Did you check in with yourself? Because just the same way there's good doctors, there's bad doctors. And just the same way there's good experts, there's bad experts. So I get where you're going, brother, but I cut you off there. What else did you want to say?
Well, I just appreciate that you're talking about the spirit, because when it comes down to it, when there's different folks arguing back and forth, which I think is a misuse of time and so on, and about the spiritual this way or that way or what have you, and in all analysis, many, as far as I've been exposed to, say the same thing. Spirit always was, always is, and always will be.
That's right.
So that's the one that we all should trust in, because it communicates with us whether we know it or not. And the more we get closer to that spirit, we communicate with it. And that's where we can truly have get our answer and believe in it.
That's right.
Anything, anybody in the world.
Amen.
So that's why I says we need to rely and look more on that. And I appreciate you bringing it up, bringing us closer back to the spirit, and then trust in the spirit to lead you and guide you and direct you in all your ways and paths and so on. And what else do you have to trust in that's greater than that?
That's right. And let me tell you, the way things are going now, we got to get checked in, brother. You got to get checked in. So I appreciate the phone
really
call.
And some of the common sense, man, I'm just going to say this, and for people to look at it themselves and add it up. Hey, he is I don't know what Fauci's title exactly is, but he's going to make abundance of money because he's got money invested in these vaccine companies, him and Bill Gates. And then the vaccine companies, all of them says, well, we want to be held harmless.
Yeah. They want to be completely
from this. Yeah. If you get sick to die from this, you can't sue us.
That's
right.
right.
You want me to take something that you don't know about that's new and then say, I can't sue you if it don't work or it's bad. And then the government want to say, yeah, you got to do this.
Yep.
Man, please, how much is on my side?
That's right. So
that's just common sense there.
Yeah, well, thanks for the phone call, brother.
All right, I want to thank you.
Yeah, and I think the brother Mike makes a good point. There's so many decisions that we have to make. And I think all too often we're concerned about what somebody else thinks. Well, what is so-and-so doing? Is this influencer over here doing it? Is that person with the big title doing it? What do they say? And it's like, well, have you checked in? Have you said your own prayer? Have you sat still? I mean, if this is your life that you're talking about, have you sat still and meditated and got present, seeking the answer? Or are we on autopilot, and as everyone else goes, that's the path I take too? And I think it has a lot to do with how we're programmed. We're programmed to fit in. Yet, we like the folks that don't. And when I say we like the folks that don't, all you got to do is look at influencers, look at the people that many of us follow, and they're the ones with pink hair, long nails. Like they figured it out, right? Hey, it's not about fitting in. It's about doing that what I feel intuitively, right? And so then we like, wow, look at them. They're powerful. I'm going to follow that person. I appreciate that. But then when it comes to us, we lack the courage. And again, we lack the courage because of self-doubt. What's the source of doubt? Fear. What's the only remedy for fear? love, which means if you really want to take your life to where it needs to go, where you believe you can go, if you really want to tap into your potential, you're going to have to turn the love dial on and really begin to soak yourself in some true love. First place to check in for real true love, the Creator. The Creator. How much time are you spending getting fully connected to the Creator through your spirit? Through your spirit. So not only are you clear on your life's vision, your life's purpose, but you're also clear on where you're going in 2021. How do we reprogram our minds? That's what I'm gonna talk about next. Like, how do we? Because think about it. Up until 2020, we were programmed for the daily grind. A lot of this stuff felt normal, right? To get up, go out. It was at some point I was like, man, there's something wrong with me that I don't have a desire to do some of these things. And this is pre-2020, right? Where it's like, man, Sunday morning, you go to church, then you go to brunch, and then you go to this person's house, and then you go to do that, and then you're running. Then before you know it, you get home, you're tired, and you only got enough time. You open up the laptop with your last few minutes, and maybe you look at what's going to happen that week. You go to bed, you get 6 hours of sleep. You wake back up on Monday, anxiety, you hate your job. Then you headed to work, and none of this time you have time to stop, reflect, connect. Who am I? What am I doing? Is there truly a purpose and an intention around how I spent my day? But you're just kind of going, oh, I got an invitation here, so I go. Oh, they're having drinks over there, happy hour, so I go. Oh, what's up? How you doing? Social. And it's like, we're just moving. We're programmed to move. For what? What are you really up to? What are you trying to create? And then we sit back and we aspire to be or create things that others create. But I'm gonna tell you something, they're not at happy hour. They're not running the way you were running. They're not binging on television and Netflix like these. They're not doing those things. And many of us, we've become hardcore consumers when really truly who we're supposed to be is hardcore producers. Producing what's next in our lives. Well, when we come back, how do you reprogram yourself? How do you reprogram the mind? That's what we'll be talking about. Stay tuned. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago.
Newsmax TV is the biggest thing on cable news, with shows including Dick Morris, Rudy Giuliani, Michelle Malkin,
All right. Well, good morning. How you guys doing? Give me a second here. All right. Man, what questions do you guys have? And once again, I'm just kind of going off what's in my spirit. I didn't create a whole lot of notes, but give me 1 second. Some static on this line. All right. But yeah. Anyway, man, if this is making sense to you, you believe it can support somebody else, I'm gonna ask you to share the stream. Man, it's 2021. We got to start playing a new game. I'm gonna tell you, man, if the game that you played over the last few years hasn't been working, I mean, you got to change the game plan. You got to change the game plan, and that's the thing. Are you courageous enough? Are you willing to change the game plan? What questions?
Yeah, man. Pat repeated hardcore consumers instead of hardcore producers. I'm telling you, that's one of the questions I ask myself all the time. Like, what's the ratio of my consumption versus my production? Because if I'm supposed to be serving a purpose, right? Putting something out into the world as a producer, then 80% of what I'm doing should be producing. That's just kind of how I think about it. 80% of my time should be spent producing, like giving, creating in some capacity. But if I'm not producing, if I'm not supporting, like coaching and teaching and teaching and doing the show and masterclass and workshop and writing curriculum, and instead, I mean, you guys imagine, I just want you to imagine, even now for me, imagine if I had let self-doubt, to steal my purpose. Oh, well, I can't speak well. I remember the first real, like, big time professional meeting I was in with executives. I stunk it up. Oh, it was bad. It was so bad. I still remember it. What if I just I used that thing to inform me of what I could do? I wouldn't be here. And in many ways, likely I would, what happens, I believe, is we know, like, we feel a sense of dissatisfaction in our spirit. Like there's a churning. And because of that, it's now I'm self-soothing. And I believe that's one of the reasons we consume so much. We're soothing. It's a good question. Don't we have to consume in order to produce? I want you to think about this, right? And this is why I said 80-20, because I do believe there's some consumption. However, one, is it intentional consumption or default consumption? That's the one thing, right? Like, am I reading a book that's going to source me? But ultimately, we are creators. I want you to think about the top creators, right? Or like, think about, Mike, you asked the question, think about one of your favorite artists and think about how many albums they put out. And then think about, overall in their lives, how much they consume versus how much they produce. Because you think about great musicians, like when I think about some of the interviews I've heard from great musicians, a lot of times they say, when I go into creation mode, I cut out everything else because I want to make sure that what I'm producing, what I'm creating is mine. And so they're producing from the spirit, right? Because we're natural born creators. We were created to create. I mean, look around us. I'm looking at this studio, man, the walls, the glass, the soundboards, the televisions, all this stuff got created. And that meant that somebody had to turn what they were consuming off and get quiet and tap into their spirit to create that thing. I mean, think about how big televisions were in the past. And what's crazy is I believe that, I'm just making this assumption that the person who figured out how to make the television as thin as it is not really a television watcher. Right? They're not really a television watcher. What they were consumed by is, wow, look at the television. How can I make it smaller? And then they went back and said, all right, well, I'm going to create that. And then they put their time and energy into producing. All right, we're back.
Chicago.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
If you wanna be about it, come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibility. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. It's time for you to walk with greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Free your goals, live out the dream. The best right now. Inspirational perspective. Open your
right, we're back. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Well, we are talking about reprogramming your mind for success, but I can't just leave it at the mind, but in many ways, reconnecting to the spirit so you can identify your life's vision and truly live your life's purpose. So how do we reprogram the mind? Well, before we go there, I got a couple of questions on Facebook. And if there are any questions that you guys have about what we discussed in the last hour, please give me a phone call, 773-591-1690. I'm looking at Belisa's question here on Facebook. And she asked me, can you talk about creating a goal around self-love? Is that a goal in itself or something to develop as we pursue other goals? Well, let me answer the second question first. Number one, it's a goal in itself. And I believe that one of the reasons for that people struggle with health and well-being goals in particular is that they're jumping over what's really going on. And this is what I mean. So often we set goals from outside in. And what I mean by that is, we'll look in the mirror or we'll look at ourselves and we'll say, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. And so we begin to go on a journey to lose weight, right? Because, by the way, everything in the world is saying look a certain way, dress a certain way, show up a certain way. And so then we see ourselves as, maybe not or disconnected from that. And so what begins to inform the goal itself is maybe a feeling of insignificance or a feeling of not being seen or a feeling of self-deprecation. And so we create the goal from that place. I'm going to get better. And what happens is as we begin to take on this goal, we start to run into resistance that we can't surmount. And the reason we run into resistance that we can't surmount is because we were looking to accomplish the goal for external reasons, not spiritual reasons. And we're not fully connected to the reason that we gained the weight in the first place. Like many of us, we have, and I'm just talking about, the self-love thing, right? Many of us, and I've been doing this work for a long time, but when I work with people, often when there's a weight problem, there's also unhealed trauma, okay? And that unhealed trauma is creating a certain level of self-doubt, a lack of self-love, because that's still kind of marked on that individual. And because it's marked on that individual, any work they do, this is why the best diet plans don't work. The best training plans don't work. The best exercise plans don't work because it's not a matter of diet, even though it is. It's not a matter of exercise, even though it is. It's a matter of healing and really, truly falling in love with yourself. Because when you're in love with yourself, then all of a sudden you begin to look at things differently. A slice of pizza doesn't look as good when you're in love. Like in love, and I'm not just saying on a one-time basis or here and there basis, because some of us, that's our diet, right? That's not loving yourself. And I want you to think about something, right? The reason the slice of pizza doesn't look good is not because it doesn't look good. It's designed to aesthetically please the eye. The reason it doesn't look good is because I love myself. And because I love myself, I don't want to create any internal and external discomfort. I don't want to do anything that's going to set me up for pain or set me up long term for illness. And so I love myself. And so I don't want indigestion. I don't want heartburn. I don't want to put myself through those type of things. And so I have the ability to say, no, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, that's the only thing you're serving? Well, then I'll fast until I have an opportunity to eat, because I know that my hunger pains aren't going to hurt me the same way that pizza can later. Self-love, like really being connected to myself. But we look over those things, and I believe that's one of the reasons why we struggle. So let me get to the first part of your question, Belisa. And again, give me a call, 773-591-1690 if you have any other questions. So could I talk about creating a goal around self-love? When we think about self-love, I shared my goal. As a matter of fact, I'll pull it up here. I shared my goal for my own health and well-being with the masterclass yesterday. And how I worded it at the end, I worded it that way on purpose. I'll read it real quick to the listening audience. But my emotive goal statement for my health and well-being goal in 2021 is to experience extraordinary level of physical fitness that provides a silent confidence and peace due to loving myself like a mother loves her child. Now, I said that piece, and by the way, that's by August 2021. For those of you listening, in terms of like, that's a complete emotive goal statement that is time bound. Okay. Now, why did I say loving myself like a mother loves a child? Well, in my own self-love journey, I realized that I'm willing to leave things on the table when it comes to Linal. I'm willing to some ways actually allow myself discomfort and pain. I'm willing to ignore my needs. And when I watch my wife with Legend, right? When I watch her interact with her son as a mother, and I was sharing this yesterday, that there's a different level of care. Like how she cares from him is over and beyond how she even cares for herself. Legend can have a little cough in the middle of the night, and my wife will pop up and make sure he's covered. And, you know, if she had a cough herself, she might need to cough a couple of times before she's like, well, is there something going on here? Right? Or she might go through the night. She might toss and turn all night. But the love that she has for that boy, right? The connection she has to her son is different. And I've been observing that, and I said, well, man, if I would love myself like that, then how would I operate? I also think about, you know, there are things that, you know, Legend gets disciplined. There are things that he encounters that are not pleasurable, and we know it's not pleasurable, but we allow him to encounter it because we love him. But many of us, we won't do things in our own lives that make us uncomfortable. We won't create pain in our own lives from a place of love, right? From a deep place of love and sourcing ourselves. And so as a result, we don't properly love ourselves. And that's when I think about setting a self-love goal, what you're really getting at is fully reconnecting to the sovereign nature of what it means to be human, and acknowledging God's creation, acknowledging yourself as God's creation, saying, how do I take better care of myself? How do I truly align with your plan, that when my days are over, truly over, then you get to say, and it's not me doing things to this body that you gave me that ends it sooner. Many people aren't going to be able to live out the full extent of their purpose and potential because they're not loving themselves properly. And I see it often with those who give. I see it often with those who give, operating in their purpose, but there's not a healthy level of self-love. And that's what we have to figure out. You know, because when you think about sustaining the message, sustaining the purpose, self-love is a huge part of that. And so, in short, Belisa, what I would say is you absolutely, I'm going to tell you something, you absolutely want to have a self-love goal. And in every health, in my opinion, every health and well-being goal should ultimately be sourced by overall where you need to go in your self-love journey.
Where do I need to go? I'll give you an example. I shared this in the master class, but 2017, I cut meat. I cut meat because my body was in pain. My body was in pain. And so from a place of self-love, if I'm truly going to love myself, am I going to allow my body, think about this. Most people would consider it torture, right? If I was feeding, let's say I had a prisoner, and I fed this prisoner foods that cause inflammation in the body, so I could generate pain throughout their entire body, so they couldn't move properly, so I could keep them in a certain vicinity. Like, if that was described to somebody else, they would say that's one of the worst kinds of torture. He did what? Oh, that's horrible. You mean to tell me he fed them food that he knew it caused inflammation throughout their entire body, disease within the body, so they couldn't move and get away from him? Oh, that's insidious. That's what most people would say. Oh, that's horrible. But then many of us do it to ourselves every day. We do it to ourselves every day, and we're living out that torture. We wake up in pain. We go to bed in pain. Oh, yeah. And we're eating the same things, doing the same things. If you tell me that there's something not wrong, tell me that's healthy. Like, tell me. And why is it? Because we're being programmed. You're being programmed to eat that stuff. Turn on the television. Turn it on right now. Put it on mute. Watch the commercials. Like, I'm going to tell you something. You want to see how you're being programmed? Like, just kind of sit back and begin to observe your surroundings. Today, if you get on the expressway, I just want you to pay attention to the billboards that are hitting your subconscious mind. What are they telling you? Buy a new car. Have this body. Drink this drink. Right? And then turn on the television. Put it on mute and just look at the imagery. And just ask yourself, what are they telling me right now? Oh, look at all that cheese on that pizza. Ah, look how luscious that burger looks right there. It's nice and juicy. But what they're not telling you is the impact. And so this is why and because most of us are operating in life without intention, completely by default, we get moved right into the program. And we don't even understand why we're doing what we're doing. We don't even understand why we have the urges that we have. We have no idea. You're just kind of driving and all of a sudden you get a taste for fries. Oh, I got a taste for fries. Okay, well, and we live in a society where we're all wealthy. You say, oh, Linal, stop it. Oh, you're wealthy. You're wealthy. We live lavishly. Here in America, we live lavishly. You don't believe me? Go to Ghana with me later this year. We live lavish. Even though some of us who are struggling the most financially, we're struggling the most financially because we live lavishly. Any moment you want something, you can just go get it. Oh, I have a taste for fries. I really want some McDonald's fries. We pull our car that's on 4 wheels, heated, right? Heated in the middle of the winter, living lavish. You're like, oh, Linal, you don't understand. My car needs work. Be quiet. We live lavish, right? You pull in, and then you stick your hand out of the warmth of your car into the cold and grab your warm bag of fries, and you pull it right back in real quick. Then you put the fry in your mouth. Why did you want that? Why did you want that? What put fries on your mind right then? Here's the thing, not that fries are bad. Not that fries are bad, but we're programmed, man. So how do we reprogram the mind? How do you reprogram yourself? Well, consider first, you kind of got to do a matrix move. And what did they do in the matrix? Well, they took him out. They completely disconnected him. I'm going to tell you something. Some of us, if you really want to accomplish your goals, if you really want to take yourself to the next level, if you really have a desire, a deep burning desire to create something in 2021, the first step you might need to take is to disconnect from certain things. I talked about it, right? Because if you truly want to create something, if you truly want to create like any goal, you have to have the right mental inputs. And like when I cut meat out my diet, this is how weak the human flesh is in many ways. And this is why so many people make mistakes, physical mistakes, right? You think about powerful men and how they fall, just physical mistakes. And I got a lot of space for that. And the reason why is because I'm a man too, right? But here's where it comes down to. The reason why these things happen is because of our mental inputs. Our mental inputs. And we gotta respect the inputs. So, what do I mean by that? Well, when I decided to cut meat from my diet, so I'm gonna get off beef, chicken. That was hard, man. The chicken was hard. Turkey was hard. I love bacon. My wife would tell you I have 4 or 5 slices of bacon on my plate in the morning, and might go back for a 6-piece, right? It's the only piece of bacon left. We don't want to throw that away. It's not gonna be good. I just take it by, I eat it. So how did I shift this? Well, it's mental inputs. So I set the goal, and mind you, my body was in pain, right? I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't run. I couldn't do those things without some kind of physical pain from the inflammation in my joints. So I said, okay, got to cut this. And so I set the goal, and I started backing off things, right? And so I started backing off these things. But the other thing I did is I got very, very clear and intentional about what I was consuming mentally. The books I was reading had everything to do with nutrition and diet. The television shows I was watching, documentaries on food, documentaries on diet. And what I was doing is completely reprogramming my mind and reconnecting my spirit to a brand new way of being. And this went on for months, you guys. I mean, every night. My wife would tell you, let's put on a documentary. Let's watch this. And we watch it. And what happened is, as I began to reprogram my mind, all of a sudden, the desire for those things started to slowly go away. And I can remember one time, and this is why I can use the example of like having urges. I'm driving down the street, I'm leaving a meeting, I'm in a rush, and I'm like, man, I need to grab something to eat before this next meeting. And I was in default mode. I'm in default mode. I just kind of turn into a Wendy's driveway. Bow. Pull up to the drive, to the mic. They're like, can I help you? Yeah. Hey, let me get a 5-piece nugget real quick with some fries. And all right, cool. I pull up to the window. Now, mind you, this is after I made the commitment to no longer eat meat. And I'm maybe about a month and a half in now. I haven't had chicken for a while, maybe about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But I'm on autopilot, right? I get the nuggets and the fries, put it in the car. Hey, give me some honey mustard sauce, please. Get my honey mustard sauce. I take it, and I start to drive out of the Wendy's driveway. I put the first piece of chicken in my and I bite it, and I realize you ain't had chicken in a while, bro. And something clicks like, oh, wait. I spit it back out my mouth. And before I could even leave the driveway, take the nuggets, just drop them in the garbage right there. Boom. And I realized, wow, that stuff is still in my subconscious. Like that program is still in my head. But that breakdown right there, it never happened again. Because then I went even harder into reprogramming my mind. Like, man, you've got to get this out of your head. I remember a few weeks later, maybe a month or so later after that, my mom invited me to a potluck at her company. And I went to the potluck, and I said, Mom, well, what kind of food they gonna have there? She said, well, it's a lot of stuff. They're gonna have salads. They're gonna have everything, Linal, like everything. They'll have something for you to eat. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna bring something just in case, and I brought this little salad, none but vegetables. Man, that was the only thing I had to eat, y'all. Right? And here's the thing, I knew I had a breakthrough when I didn't have a desire, bro. I didn't have a desire. Nothing. They had fried chicken. I think there was some Harold. Somebody just brought a bucket of Harold's. Then they had another bucket of Uncle Remus. I mean, all the pickings. I was saying some pizza over there with, with I think they said that's turkey sausage, right? That's turkey. And no shade, y'all, no shade. Everybody's in different places, right? One of the salads had chicken all through it, right? Because that's healthy. That's, quote unquote. That's healthy. And so they had chicken all through the salad. Oh, I can't eat that. Mom said, well, you could just pick some of the chicken out. I said, well, what's the purpose? At that point, how did I stand in that moment? I had completely reprogrammed my mind and aligned my spirit with a brand new way of being. Completely brand new way of being. That's what it takes for every goal. And that's just, we just spent the last 30 minutes talking about well-being and self-love. Every goal requires that. So let me move to relationship. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not out here watching foolishness on television with guys doing all types of things with women. I'm just not. Why? I got to protect my programming. The intention I have for my relationship with my wife is that we stay in love, that we remain connected. Do we get on each other's nerves sometime? Do we have our problems? Yes, we do. But that is my boo. That's who I plan to spend the rest of my life with. And so if that is the goal, if that's the intention, then I also have to make sure I'm programming myself properly. I don't watch movies where men cheating on I'll turn it off. A guy sneaking around, I turn on television. Oh, I'm just going to take 30 minutes. Guy sneaking around. I'm not watching that. I don't even want to see if he was successful or if he was unsuccessful. I don't want to know. That's not the game I intend to play. You get where I'm going? Every goal is met with clear, intentional, mental inputs. I'm always watching. What are you doing here? What's happening? Because I'm not trying to take that in. I'm not trying to, I am intentional about my programming. And I think some of us, we think we're superheroes. You think you can watch all that and not desire it? I can't tell you the last time I watched a music video. For what? Why am I going to watch a music video? Women who are half dressed, dancing around, sexually charged, lots of different women. Some guy walking up to this girl, kissing her on the cheek, walking up to that girl, objectifying her, moving over here. Like, why? Why would I watch that? That's not the life I intend to live. That's not the program I intend to run. And I'm going to tell you something. Many people out here, you have goals, and the reason you're struggling with the goals, the reason you're struggling with these things is because you've been programmed a different way. I was just watching this documentary on pornography. One of the things they were talking about with pornography is how pornography actually steals the joy of sex away from people. Many men can't even enjoy sexual relationships with their wives because the programming's been jacked up. They're so into this other program, so into that foolishness that, by the way, is being generated, that's being manipulated. Your wife isn't going to want to do those things, and then you make her wrong. You make her wrong because she's not doing something that somebody's getting paid $100,000 plus to do because they know it's not natural. It's the programming. Your programming's messed up. Look, if you truly want to live, align with the vision you have for your life, you want to create a line with those goals, you want to tap into your real, true spiritual purpose, you're going to have to reprogram yourself. You're going to have to reprogram yourself. So then let's go to your work. Many folks, the reason you believe that the only source you have is your job is because that is how you've been programmed. And you've been programmed like that since kindergarten. When you were 5 years old,
You were 5 years old. The teacher asked, what do you want to be? And most of us, we said some job. And she's like, you can do it. And they'll declare it. You can do that. You can do that. And then schooling. Over the next 12 years, we spend our lives preparing to work for somebody. We spend our time preparing to work for somebody. You know, I think just recently they started to put entrepreneurship courses in business school. Just recently. Before that, it was all about getting a job. And that's why many of us will wake up tomorrow morning with anxiety. Wake up tomorrow and say, why am I doing this? Well, why you're doing it is because you've been programmed to do that. And if you want to break the cycle, you have to change the program. And by the way, there's some jobs that operate within purpose. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because for 16 years I had the opportunity to work for phenomenal companies that allowed me in many ways to live out my purpose. But there came a time where I began to run up against a wall. I wasn't able to do the work I was supposed to do. I had to reprogram my mind. What did I do? I started following entrepreneurs. I started going to conferences, business symposiums, listening to how they were doing things, how they were running things, how they were creating their revenue. I began to reprogram myself. And that's why I'm able to run the program I'm running now. I had to upload something different. And I'm going to tell you, when I left corporate America, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because there was a lot of self-doubt. There was a lot of fear. And I had to tap into, I believe that I am operating within my purpose. I believe that God is my source. I had to program that into me. Then I had to live it out. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I remember leaving corporate America, and man, 2016, the first 6 months of 2016, all I heard was no, 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 no. People who had promised yeses. Oh man, I want to work with you when you finally leave. You know, hey, can you take another client? No, not right now. I'm booked because I do want to honor my job and I'm only taking 4 clients, and so I'll put you on the wait list. Well, man, as soon as you get an opportunity, as soon as you leave that job, I want to work with you. I left. I made those phone calls. I remember I had 19 to 21 people on the list. Every last one of them said no. Every last one of them said no. And if I hadn't programmed myself properly, I would have took another job. It was the programming. It was the programming. It was the faith in the Creator, the faith in my purpose. And by the way, I had the opportunities. 2 phenomenal internet companies, by the way, big time internet companies called. Hey, we hear you're available. Love to have you. That's not within my purpose. The program changed. And it was like as soon as the last test, I say the last test was the last company. As soon as I turned that down, my business flourished. It was like, okay, you're in. I have to test you. Many of us got to ask yourself, can you pass the test? But it comes down to your programming. Let's talk about money. Folks, when are you going to figure out that the major program in United States of America is for you to spend and consume? That's the money program. That's what keeps everything going the way that it's going. That's what the fight was about last year. People didn't care about your health. Remember, they were like, open it up. Open it up. Why? Because we need you to spend and consume. Spend and consume. See, that's the program. Think about it, just ask yourself, can I go a day without spending? Can I go one day without spending $1? It's the program. It's the program, right? And so then we say, well, why am I having financial struggles? Well, that's a part of the program. The program says, hey, let's keep them in a cycle. By the way, your credit is 700. Oh, that's pretty good. Well, we're going to give you a credit card at 28%. We'll give you $5,000. All right? You go ahead out there now. What do? Now I'm $5,000 in debt, but not just $5,000 in debt. I'm $5,000 in debt with a 28% APR, trying to dig myself out. Oh, you don't have any credit left? Well, let's see. You are making your minimum payments. Well, it looks like you're following the program the way you should. We'll give you another $5,000 on another card, okay? Matter of fact, that interest rate is really high. What if we lowered it to 0% for the next 6 months? Would you be okay with that? All right, awesome. And then we max that one out. 6 months later, how am I in this financial mess? Because you're following the program. It's the program. So, you want to have a breakthrough in money? You got to reprogram yourself. What books are you reading? Man, this stuff isn't magic. And I think sometimes we have magical thinking. This year, I'm going to take full control of my finances. I'm going to save $20,000 and I'm going to make 25%. Hey, here's the thing. I believe you can do that if you change your programming. But you got to change your programming. And that's what I mean. You have to have a burning desire to do these things. I was talking to Dennis Kimbrough. You guys heard him on the Friday morning New Year's celebration. And one of the things he talked about was burning desire. It's the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich. Burning desire. Do you have a burning desire to change your life? Are you willing? Are you so willing you put your money in it? Man, let me tell you, when I was ready to change my life, there was no price I wouldn't pay. What? It cost $5,000 to learn how to trade stock? Here you go. Oh, it's $16,000 to learn how to coach? Here you go. Man, I was at a point, I'm done. Most folks, you tell them a couple of hundred, they go, oh, hey, you want how much? I don't have that. And then go out and buy a purse. What is happening? Well, what's happening is you're just following your old program. You're not dissatisfied enough with that program to change the program. That's it. But when you're ready for a new program, you don't care. Hey, how much does it cost? Go ahead and upload it, coach. Upload the program because, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to transform. But you're not sick and tired. You're not sick and tired. You're not sick and tired. And until you're sick and tired and dissatisfied, many people won't change the program. You're listening to my voice this morning. You know it's time to shift the program. 2021. You know it's time to change the program. You're tired of how it's been with your finances. You're tired of being married to the struggle. You're tired. But you can't change it until you change the program. You tired of your money situation? You tired of stressing over your bills? Turn off the television and pick up a good book on money. That'll tell me how tired you really are. See, most folks, you're not tired. You figured it out. You've grown comfortable with it. Okay, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be. I can't wait till the new episode of Blackish comes out. Click. Somebody asked me, hey man, you check out that new Power yet? Nope, not a part of my program right now. Not a part of my program. And then here's the thing, they actually tell you. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. And you keep wondering, why I feel the way do I feel? Why do I feel like this? Why am I not accomplishing what I intend to accomplish? It's the information age, it's out here. Anything you want, you can have if you're willing to change the program. So then let's talk about purpose and spirituality. See, we've been programmed to ignore the spirit. We've been programmed to focus on this physical body, to focus on what's around us completely physical. We forget that we're on a spiritual journey. Most of us, we're so caught up in this moment right now. We're so caught up in the tangible things. Oh, I just gotta have those shoes. Oh, I just gotta have those shoes. Why? How is there a yearning for something material over the spiritual? Let's think about that. If my spiritual capacity has everything to do with my fulfillment in life, with my happiness, with my connection to God, if my spiritual fulfillment can actually, in many ways, completely heal my trauma of the past, completely rid me of my vices, give me new direction, why is it so difficult for us to focus on the spiritual? Because it's not a part of the programming. I hate to say it, but many folks go to church Sunday in, Sunday out, and there's no conversation about the spiritual man. It's just sensational. The only spiritual kick you get is from a song. Oh, I can feel it. But you're not getting any spiritual instruction on how to live and how to completely disrupt the program. Very little conversation about that. Very hard to find that. I think it's one of the reasons I've been focused on it the way I've been focused on it. Who will you be? What will you create? What will you produce versus consume? So then we get to purpose, and people are like, well, I just don't get purpose, Linal. The reason you don't get purpose is because you haven't tapped into your spirit, because purpose is a spiritual thing. Linal, well, I think I know my purpose, but I just can't seem to get with it. I don't believe it. Well, because you gotta increase your spiritual muscle. That's why. A lot of folks, we're struggling because we're just missing the simple fundamentals of life. We talked about them. Simple fundamentals of life. 2021, who will you be? What will you create? Are you up for the challenge? Is it time to reprogram yourself? Are you tired of being programmed by the news? Because by the way, the news, the program for the news, let me put it out there, is fear. Be afraid. Like that's, man, if there's an underlying tone to what's happening on the news, what it's telling you, be afraid. Be very afraid. Be anxious and afraid. And that's why every time you get up from watching the news, that's why you feel that way. You feel like you have less and less power. So then you go around telling yourself a story. Oh, I have less and less power. They out here raping women. They out here stealing cars. They out here carjacking people. That's all you're concerned about. You can't hardly be, because you're just consumed by fear, because you're in the fear program. I'm not saying that stuff's not happening, but when you tap into a new level of spiritual power, just not your concern anymore. This whole thing is spiritual. But when you create the spiritual opening, well, then it can happen. And if I'm producing fear, then my goodness, what's going to come at me? Reprogram your mind for success this morning. Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing? Are you willing to take the first step? Over the next 30 days, I have a challenge. And that challenge, I made it to the Slayer Goals community. We're going to dig our heels into 2021. We're going to get a running start like we never got before into this year. You know, you see the people at the racing block and they say, ready? And everybody, you see all those legs go up, arms straight. They put that heel in the back, right? The leg is bent for that powerful jump. Ready, set. And then they kind of dig that toe in. Go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're going to be doing in 2021. And if you want to be a part of that, I'm going to make an invitation to you to join the Slayer Goals community. Join the community. And this, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I made this offer to the people at the masterclass. I'm making this offer to you now. I'm putting it right here on Facebook. But if this is something that you want to do, I just put the link in Facebook. If this is something that you want to create, then join me. Join me in the Slay Your Goals community. And I'm making it incredibly easy because it's $1 for 30 days. $1 for 30 days to join the challenge. We're going to be meeting tomorrow at noon. And we're going to start the process every Monday in January. Every Monday in January. What support do you need? How are you going to change your program? Because that's what it comes down to, folks. We got to change the program. You got to change your inputs, change the program. And I'm going to do my best to live out my purpose and support in the best ways that I know how possible. For those of you listening right now, if you want to take advantage of this, then I'll put something up on my website later today. You can go back. Or I'm going to tell you what, get on my mailing list right now. I'll send out an email later today sharing this opportunity. $1, 30 days. Who will we be? What will we create? What kind of start will you get into 2021? How will you reprogram your mind for the success you want to generate? This is your time. I believe it. Many of us, you didn't survive 2020 for no reason. You didn't get out of that year just because. You got out because you have a divine purpose. When will you tap into it? When will you tap into it? Let's go to line 2. Jay, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I want to say, first of all, as far as the video girls, I don't know if they're sexually charged or if their job is to get the viewers sexually charged. But the other thing I really want to talk to you about is since you've gone to a meatless or plant-based diet, besides the health benefits, have you noticed anything else, side effect that you didn't expect? Because back in the 90s, I can tell you I was a vegan for a period, and there's some things I discovered that I wasn't expecting at all.
Yeah, well, I'm not a vegan. I'll say that first. I'm not a vegan. I'm a pescatarian. So we eat fish. And let me say this. I'm not big on nothing never. So there are times where if I might eat a little lamb, right, to get certain things in my body, but I'm not given to it, right?
But you pretty much gone away from meat like every day.
Yeah. Oh, so, no, meat every day, no sir, not at all.
And there has to be let me get to what I'm getting at there. I'll just say what I felt. My thinking changed. As far as the fast food restaurants go, it was at a point where I couldn't believe I used to spend money and eat that stuff.
Oh man, I'm with you. I can't even really understand how people eat it. I don't. My thinking changed too. I think there's something, your mind clears up. It's almost like, but again, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the program. Like we're on a program and we don't realize we're on a program. And when you get off the program and you see the program in action, it kind of takes you back.
Yeah.
And you're looking like, wow. People, man, I mean, it's hard for me to watch somebody bite into a fast food burger.
And just life in general, it feels like it's less of a struggle. It's like you see things, and you said it, you see things clear.
Yeah, there's a clarity of mind. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's like life isn't like a struggle. It's like just another opportunity to enjoy living again.
That's right.
And I didn't expect that. My whole thinking just changed. I just became lighter and everything. Yeah. And another thing I didn't anticipate, I'm going to say it anyway. When you go to the bathroom, there's no smell.
well, your body's
you don't
cleaner.
Eat meat.
Yeah, your body's cleaner, man.
And that was weird. I didn't expect that either.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody that's thinking about vegan diet. It would change your thinking. It would change everything. It would change your complexion. So I just wanted to add to your conversation. Thank you.
Amen to that. Yeah. Change. He said change your complexion. It changes your skin. I mean, there's people out here struggling with things, and part of the reason they struggle is because of the inputs. And that's what I'm saying. We got to change our inputs. Mental inputs help you change every other input you have, food included. Great phone call. Let's go to line 3. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy
Just want
New
to
Year.
say that. Yeah. And curried lamb chops is really good too. That's how I like lamb.
Nice.
I don't know if you ever had that.
I've had curried
the
lamb
other-
chops. I'm with you. Just not, like I said, sparingly. Very sparingly.
Yeah, and then I'm a bacon person too. So what I'll do, I'll take like a half of I'll take just one slice of bacon and half it up, and then I think I'm having 2 slices.
I cut all pork. I cut it. I cut it.
Okay.
And let me tell
then-
you the personal reason why, for the listeners. One of the things I noticed when I ate pork is I would get, like, my underarms would get sore, like a little bump would be forming. The other thing I noticed is, like, little pus discharges on my skin. Right?
That is something that's happened to me before. I better
And,
stop.
and I think we got to pay more attention to ourselves. I think a lot of things that are happening with our body, we think they're just happening. But because I didn't eat pork much already, when I did eat pork, I knew that's what was causing my problems, right? And so as a result, I'm like, nope, I'm not. And in many ways, we kind of follow a Bible diet. I'm like, well, why did God tell the children of Israel not to eat shellfish and all those things? And I'm like, well, I don't got to know why. He told them not to eat it. I'm not going to eat it. And that's kind of where we are now.
Yeah, and I just want to say 2 things. One is that I'm going to, one of my goals is I'm going to do like you and your family, is every 5th weekend, go somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's January, the end of this month. So
there we go.
Got something planned. And then the other thing is that I have my own business, and I like my business. I like what I do. The only thing, Linal, is I work pretty much every day. I do. And so I'm working on what I call survival mode, and I don't really have to work on survival mode, but I don't know how to stop from working on survival mode, So what do you think is a good way to stop doing that, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, the first thing is it's part of your programming, right? And if you're a workaholic, consider that it's also an opportunity to avoid something else.
Yeah.
And so there's likely something that you're avoiding. If this was a coaching conversation, that would be the first question I ask. Tracy, what are you avoiding by working? And that might be the thing for you to really get clear on. Like, it's likely you're avoiding something. It could be, relationship. It can be you're avoiding yourself and self-love. It could be that you're avoiding a sense of, I don't know, are you single?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you could be avoiding loneliness. You could be avoiding the urge or the need for a relationship, and it could be a lot of different things. But so what happens is we overcompensate in one area to in many ways blend or cover another area. And work is one of those things that we will do. We'll overwork even when we don't need to. And what I would tell you, if you're looking to bring balance to your life, get coaching. Consider working with a business coach and someone who can really support you in, one, putting your business on autopilot, helping you create residual while you sleep with whatever it is that your business is, and creating full balance across the spectrum of your life. I love that you're taking the 5th weeks. That's a great start.
Yeah. What's a good, how do you go about, because I know you're a coach, but you're not a business coach, right?
I do coach business. I'm a holistic coach. I support people across the board. So many people who reach out to me for business, I let them know right away that you are the business. And so because you are the business, we're not just going to look at what's happening in your business and what's happening in your revenue. We're also going to look at what's happening in your life. And so if you hire me, that'd be one of the first conversations. What do you want to create in your life? And then we create the business to complement that.
Okay. Okay, well, I listen to you every Saturday here in Northern California, so that means I'm up at 5:30.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
I'm up at 5:30, and I listen every Sunday. Love it.
Well, reach out to me. Send me a note, Tracy. You can go to my website, linalharris.com, and if I can't coach you, I'll refer you to some coaches who can.
Yeah, I would love to do that Monday thing, but like I was saying, I work a lot, and so I don't know how Yeah.
Well, you know,
Okay.
if you sign up, you can still catch the replays, Tracy. So keep that in mind.
Okay, so go to your website.
LinalHarris.com and go ahead and just send me a note. You can go to the coaching tab and send and fill out the form, and then we'll be in communication from there.
Okay, thank you, and have a good week.
All right, you too. All right, one last call, Karen. We only got a few, really about 60 seconds.
I just want to say this. You're correct about why the Creator told us not to eat certain things, because everything He made it for good.
Mm-hmm.
And certain animals and fish and whatever were created to clean the earth up.
That's right.
So if we're eating the things that's cleaning the earth up, then we're becoming dirty. I just want to, people don't understand that everything was created for good, but it might not be good for you.
Yeah.
So the fish of the sea and the rats and all that, they were created to keep the earth clean. So
That's
if we
right.
eat them, we're eating filth. Love you. Have a great day.
All right, that's good stuff. And I love what Karen just said, because you all. Here's the thing. My son he was asking me a question, and my wife and I, we were talking about it. And my wife was like, well, why don't lions eat hyenas, right? They hate hyenas, but they won't eat them. They'll kill them, but they won't eat them. And I told my wife, I said, well, because the hyena's a scavenger. The hyena eats off the lion's rotten scraps. The lion knows that, right? And so even when that lion is hungriest, the hyena is never a part of the meal plan, because it knows that the hyena is dirty. So look at the logic and in many ways the direction God gave animals. A hungry lion will not eat a vulture. It knows the vulture is not a part of the meal plan. But as human beings, we've been programmed to consume almost anything. And it doesn't make sense, folks. We got to change the program. I love you guys. I do. I really do. We got to change the program. We got to change the program. Change your program in 2021. Well, this is the first Sunday of 2021, man. And I think it was appropriate. It's time to change the program, so that way we can powerfully create moving forward. I love you guys. Once again, Happy New Year. You've been listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host and life coach, Linal Harris, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Be blessed. And a lot of phenomenal wishes for you in 2021. God bless you.
All right, that's the show this morning. Hey man, share this one. Tell them if they're looking to change the program, they might want to listen to this one all the way through. Really, really reconnect with ourselves. Got a lot of work to do, you guys. God bless you. Have a phenomenal Sunday. I'll see most of you all Monday.